Hello, and welcome to Confessions of a Terrible Leader, where real leaders share the raw truth about the lessons they learned the hard way so you don't have to. Join our host, Layci Nelson, founder of Transcend Leadership Collective and former terrible leader. Every leader can become worthy of being followed if they are willing to put in the work. On this podcast, we share the messy stories and behind-the-scenes reality of what the work actually entails. We welcome you to this community of revolutionary leaders who believe honest communication, healthy conflict, and building cultures of acceptance, respect, and trust are not only possible, but non-negotiable for cultivating world-class teams.
Hello and welcome to the very first inaugural episode of Confessions of a Terrible Leader. Layci Nelson here, your host for this journey and also former terrible leader. All I want to do with these few minutes you've been so kind to share with us is to let you know what this podcast is all about. The mess, the hard parts, the ugly parts of leadership is where the learning is born. But it's not the part we usually hear about. We usually hear about the nice, clean lessons that were learned afterwards without the deep dive into, but wait, how did you learn that? And this podcast is all about how I learned it and how my guests, who have been gracious enough to join us in this effort, how they learned these really hard lessons as well. So every podcast guest that we have on, we will ask two questions. First question is, what is the biggest mistake you have made in your leadership journey? And the second one is, how has it shaped the way that you lead today? And we've already had several guests record with us, and man, those questions are really getting some amazing discussions. I can't wait for you to explore, unpack, really gain the value that they bring. And they're so vulnerable. They're willing to be really raw and real and tell us things that they don't normally talk about. And part of it is because, well, nobody tends to ask that directly, but here we are asking those questions. And I also wanted to just give you a little bit of insight, listeners, into my journey so you can understand the context, the waters that I swim in. I have been doing executive leadership coaching through Transcend Leadership Collective. That's my company. For almost 9 years. It'll be 9 years in March, and have seen so many leaders of 6, but mostly 7 and 8 figure companies really learn in the middle of the mess over and over again. And that mess is such valuable opportunity to fine tune who do you want to be as a leader and who do you not want to be. And so this is a really intentional look at the messes and how people came out the other side of them. But I'm not just asking people to tell on themselves. See, before I got into the field that I'm in now, I was a leader myself for 15 years. So I had 15 years of experience of leading teams across multiple sectors, actually. Everything from nonprofit to for-profit to even the government, leading some teams in all of those settings and learned some really hard lessons. I started leading teams when I think I was like 20. Well, if you count my really early years, like 21 is when I had my first team. And then from there, and that was a part-time thing, but I still was responsible for the team for that season. And then 23, 24, I became a full-time manager and very quickly became a director. But it was such a mess my first few years of leadership. I had no idea what I was doing. I had just been told that I was a great leader. I had great leadership qualities, and I had absolutely zero idea when it came down to it of how to take those quote unquote leadership qualities and turn them into actual solid leadership. I had so many horrible horrible lessons that I, brought on myself. Leadership starts with me and it ends with me, starts with you and it ends with you, leaders. I am taking full responsibility for the mess that I made. And in this podcast, um, I also will be sharing solo episodes, unpacking a lot of those stories, telling you things that are frankly really embarrassing to admit and to talk about. And I am choosing that level of vulnerability with all of you because there's so much value there. And I also want all of you that are listening, all of you that are also on this journey of figuring out how to lead, to know that it is not a linear, straight trajectory process. It is a roller coaster. And you're going to make mistakes. You're probably already nodding, going, oh, going to? I've made lots of mistakes. We all continue to make the mistakes as we lead because as our teams grow, as our missions evolve, as our objectives shift and change and our companies grow, we're always learning because the skills that we needed to get to a certain level are not the same skills that are going to take us to the next level. And there's a lot of mess in that leveling up process. And sad news, it never ends, but also great news, it never ends because we get to continue to grow and to evolve and to really work towards becoming the best version of ourselves and understanding how we want to have impact, not only in the world with the service or the product that we're delivering, but in the lives of the people that are following us. I am passionate about team development. I am passionate, so deeply passionate about leading your team well because you can make a massive, not can make, you do make a massive impact in the lives of the people that report to work every day, and you are their direct supervisor, manager, business owner. If they report to you, you have more impact on their mental health than a therapist. Even the only rival that you have for mental health impact, the only person that beats you, people, are spouses and children. Wow, right? That study was done. I'm trying to remember who. I'll find it and link it in the show notes for you. But it has been shown that we have a major responsibility in the lives of those that we lead, and we need to not take it lightly. Leaders, we need to make the commitment to become worthy of being followed and then continue that development process for the rest of our lives, essentially. And when we become worthy of being followed, we have to be willing to do the first step of looking in the mirror, not once, not twice, but all of the time, and saying, I'm responsible for exactly where I'm at right now and exactly where my team is at right now. It really does come back to me. I'm creating the everyday reality for the people that report to me. We spend more time at work typically than we spend even with our families. We also have the opportunity to, not opportunity, we have the responsibility of providing the opportunity for every single person that works with us or works for us to have the opportunity to show up at work every day and get motivated, be motivated, inspired, and engaged, and want to learn how to step into the next level of leadership or the next level of whatever their craft, their skill is, but also in human development. They deserve that opportunity if they want it. We owe them the work it takes to become the kind of leader that can provide those opportunities because they're building our dream. They are building our vision. They're bought in. They don't have as much skin in the game as we do. And yet here they are showing up every day. We owe them to be the kind of leaders that really are worthy of being followed. every single human being matters. That is a personal core belief of mine. There is no such thing as one human being that is more valuable than another human being. And because everyone matters, every position in the company matters, and every individual again needs to have that opportunity to come to work and be motivated, engaged, inspired, and to really thrive. Now, I say opportunity because, again, it is a two-way street. So we'll touch on that in a lot of different podcast conversations, I'm sure, and solo recordings. Like, how do you know when it's you, when it's them? We're going to dive into all of that. But I'll tell you, if you are the kind of person that understands the weight of that responsibility, you also know, hey, I'm never done learning. I've got a lot to learn still. And in some regards, I don't even know what I don't know. You're in the right place. This is where we are interviewing leaders that are really, I don't want to say top of their game because who knows, but at a pinnacle in their career, have gone through some amazing learning, and are willing to share the mistakes they made along the way. And I thank them for that. Like I said, I will be unpacking my own mess. First couple years, here's some highlights. First couple years of my own leadership journey, I had massive turnover. I had a staff member that I should have fired on like the first or second week I was there, but I held them for a year. They were completely toxic and almost destroyed my team, and that was my fault. And I had a team that was pointing the finger at each other constantly and wasn't I mean, we looked good on paper, we were meeting our outcomes, but we were really dysfunctional. And I was the leader of that dysfunction because I did not know what I was doing. And so I'm going to dive into stories from that time. I'm also going to dive into stories from as I figured it out, like the new mistakes I made. As I continued to level up, there was new mistakes to be made. So going to share all of that with you. I almost burned out, like got very, very close to just throwing in the towel completely for work life. And I would say I probably did burn out, honestly, if I'm going to be really honest, and how all of these experiences culminated in where I'm at today, where my company's at today, and the ability that we have to be guides and help other people that are leading learn from the mistakes that we made, that I made. I don't want you to have to waste the time if you can learn it here. I don't want you to have to get the scars. If you can learn the lessons here and avoid the time waste and avoid the scars and avoid the harm, because I'll be very real, my lack of leadership ability throughout my career as I was growing I have had instances where I have undoubtedly caused harm. And I'm not proud of that. I will, like I said, you're going to be hearing about some of that as this podcast unfolds. But as I was saying, I really want to spare the pain and the learning, to be vulnerable, to be honest, and gosh, to just invite those others in that are leading and that are steps ahead of even where I'm at, and soak in their lessons as well. So I'm so glad that you're here. I want to thank you for giving us some of your time, your only non-renewable resource, and also welcome to our little corner of the internet. So we appreciate you, and I would love to engage with you. So please don't hesitate to, you can find us. There's a link in the show notes to the website. You can email us. You can find us over on Instagram. We'd love to engage. I'd love to hear your thoughts and your feedback. And I just am so thrilled to be in a space where people who want to become worthy of being followed are willing to invest in what it takes. And telling the hard truth is definitely part of that. So all of that said, welcome to the show. Thank you. And I am looking so forward to all the places we're going to go together. Until next time, go manage like a leader.
Thanks for being part of this community of revolutionary leaders who believe honest communication, healthy conflict, and building cultures of acceptance, respect, and trust are not only possible, but non-negotiable for cultivating world-class teams. If one-to-one coaching, engaging workshops, or strategic planning that is actually useful are anything that interests you, make sure to head over to www.transcendleadershipcollective.com to check out our free resources. Confessions of a Terrible Leader is hosted by Layci Nelson and produced by Mary Scott. Music is by Leif Olson and Mary Scott from the band The Number of Months. Thank you so much for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And until next time, go manage like a leader.